Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode. I don't know what to call this yet. Or maybe it's a client spotlight. There we go. Just came up with that. But my name is Iris. I'm the person behind Laya Kaluluwa, which means free soul in Tagalog. I made this business, but I would say it's like a spiritual business or like a calling more of in 2023, guided by my ancestors, and it's been continued to be guided by my ancestors along the way. I do readings, I do spiritual gifts coaching, and I will be bringing back my intuitive ceremonies soon. But today I wanted to bring on a special guest who is one of my current coaching clients. And we're actually about halfway through our 6 months right now. So we're at the 3 month mark. And in this time, I've just been witnessing like tremendous growth and shifts within her. And I thought it would be a great idea to just hop on here and have a conversation together where we dive a little bit deeper in her process, how this coaching container has been, and yeah, I guess like how she would describe the coaching process. Because I feel like I tell people I'm a coach, but it's kind of hard to explain exactly what it is that I do because it's very intuitive, it's very flowy. So, yeah, why not ask someone who has direct experience of what it's like to be on the receiving end of that? And yeah, we have a couple of questions lined up for you. So stick around till the end. And at the end, she'll be sharing like what she's working on, what she's up to. So yeah, stick around. So it's my pleasure and honor to invite on Trishna. Um, yeah, Trishna, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Tryshna. Um, I guess, well, right now, I go by like Ate TK. TK is my initials for Trishna. Karen, that's like my first and middle name. My name is super special to me, so I think that's just an identity that I carry with a lot of pride. Um, and right now, I actually work full time in education. Um, and alongside of that, I'm really just trying to discover like and be more confident in my spiritual gifts, which is why I'm here, which is why I've dived into coaching with Iris. Um, yeah, and I have Kapampangan Ilocano roots, and I'm oh my gosh, I'm gonna blank, but yeah,
Okay.
so this is why I'm here. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of tell y'all more about what I've been doing with Iris, because she's just helped me a lot in my own growth just within the past 3 months.
Yay. Yes. So excited to have you. So thank you for being here and for being open to this. We were saying that this is like our first time before I hit record that we're doing something like this. Um, so yeah, I'm really happy that you're here. And so the first question I wanted to ask you was actually, how were you feeling before coaching? So in a way, it's kind of like what intrigued you to get a coach? Like, where were you at in your life? So yeah.
Yeah, so before I decided to do coaching with Iris, well, I feel like I should also give context because before I even decided to dive in with Iris, we had done um she had an offering of holding a container for exploring shadow work. And so that is something that we did together actually like a year prior to when we started coaching. But I felt really called and pulled to work with Iris because of just her intuition and her embodiment of her spiritual gifts. And that's just something that really resonated with me because that's something that I really wanted for myself. Um, so before I even decided to do coaching with Iris, I was honestly in a very fragile mental state. Um, I started experiencing a lot of health issues, and I was really just in a place of seeking as much community as I can, as much support as I could have. And having already experienced something with Iris and already kind of knowing who she is through her page really helped me. Like it just solidified for me that I wanted to work with her. And so yeah, before I dove in with her, I was really unsure of myself. I was very anxious. I was very paranoid. I was definitely operating from a lot of like fear and lack, and just trying to understand who I am, and like just yearning to know and develop like the gifts that I have. So, yeah, that's kind of also just yeah, where I was at before I met Iris. Um and diving into coaching with her. So,
Yeah. And with that, would you say you had like an ancestral practice prior to starting, or what was that relationship like for you?
yeah, so okay, now I have to like give you more context because I did have a reading with Iris as well before even going into coaching. And I think I was kind of in the exploration stage of um, developing a relationship with my ancestors. Um, and when I did my intuitive reading with Iris, I think that really confirmed with me that I definitely needed to connect it with my ancestors and just who was a part of my spirit team. And that really pushed me to feel like be like, okay, like I have to like follow the calling. I have to like really dive into this. And so I would say, yeah, before even doing the coaching, it was something that like I was being pulled to do in a sense. And so within coaching, I've definitely been able to like solidify that and really deepen the relationship a lot more than I previously had.
Ooh, I can't wait to get into that.
Yeah.
And that kind of brings me into the second question, which was, what were your initial intentions for coaching?
Yeah. So actually, before I did coaching, I actually did a rebrand of like my spiritual business. And at that time, I still felt like I don't really know what I'm doing. Um, because previously I sold crystals and I was a crystal shop, but then I was like, I don't really feel called to that anymore. And then I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I want to offer the community. I just know that I want to offer the community with gifts that I do have, but I couldn't really recognize those gifts in myself. So my intention really was to develop and understand what those gifts are and like be confident in that. And um just like sharing, being able to share and express myself, and definitely tapping into my intuition more. Because, like I said, I think when I first discovered Iris too, I was like, oh, damn, like she's tapped in, you know? So, uh, I definitely also wanted to feel that and like just know those things about myself too.
Yes. Yeah, because it's like, I feel like when people book a reading or they have some sort of like they feel drawn to my work or my page, I feel like it's because there's something about how I share that they resonate with, and there's something within them that's really aligned with that. Like there's a version of that for you too. And so yeah, I
Yeah.
was really happy that you reached out about coaching because I feel like I can see that for you. And I think when we do readings, like it helps me to tap into like future potentials for someone. And I felt for you definitely like there was a lot more that you're being called to. And
Yeah.
I think it also goes kind of back into how you said you were feeling prior to coaching, just kind of going through it, like on the physical level, emotional, like mental, like all the different levels. And we've had a couple conversations about how that's kind of like a void period, like when you're in the void of the unknown, and
Mm,
it feels like there's a lot of transformation happening. There's
mm,
old layers that are being shed because there's a new version of yourself ready to come out.
mhm,
It's not always like a fun process. It's like really confronting because, it's like think about a physical birth and the contractions and like the labor of that process. It's like a process. So I'm really grateful that you did, reach out for support and that I could be here helping you through it because I know it's not easy. I've also been through those myself, and I didn't have a coach who could hold me during that process. So it was kind of like raw dogging it. Um,
yeah.
here we are. I'm really happy that like my ancestors called me to do this work so I could be that space holder for people who are in the thick of things. And also, it's like, your gifts are wanting to come out.
Mhm.
So, yeah. So, now that we're like at the 3-month mark, we're halfway in this journey. I want to know how you're feeling and what has shifted for you so far.
Yeah, I'm well, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, I'm definitely feeling a lot better than I did when I first started seeing you. I feel more just confident and trusting of myself. And yeah, confident in the sense of just like knowing who I am and who I'm becoming and like what gifts I can really like what gifts I really come with, you know? I think for a long time I was just having a lot of imposter syndrome as well. Like there were a lot of things that I did do, but I just didn't identify as because I felt like I was an imposter, like maybe I wasn't worthy enough to say that I'm a yoga practitioner or teacher or that, that I feel like I am kind of that I am like a healer in my own sense and way, and so like I think just being able to know more about myself, definitely I'm feeling that right now and just more intuitive. I think when we first started coaching too, like we did a lot of work for me to not always be so logical and analytical and really just like tapping into my intuition and like feeling into my body, feeling into my knowing and like trusting that and not having to really question myself too much, which I think was a huge shift for me because I was like a chronic overthinker. Like I said, I had a lot of anxiety and paranoia. So a lot of those things kept me in like freeze mode. And I feel like now I just feel like more expansion, more open to just um, trust the things that come up for me and that come along this journey and just not question it too much, but really feel it. And embodying it too. Like, I think I realized that if I said I was going to really value my relationships with ancestors or like doing these things, that I really needed to do it. So, like, I feel like through this coaching, I just feel a lot more activated and like firm in like these are my beliefs, these are the things that I come with, and like I can trust myself to do it now. Um, yeah, I feel like that was a lot, but there's definitely so many things. And concretely, I could say like, I do more rituals for myself and like, um, I'm like about to host a workshop, so like, or like a circle. So, you know, that all of this coaching is really a culmination of that. And this is only like the third month, so um Yeah, there's been a lot of shifts just within these 3 months of coaching with you.
Yes,
Yeah.
hearing all of that.
Mhm.
Um, there's so much I want to like talk about within what you just shared. I think one thing I did want to say, and this is something I admire about you, is that you're very community oriented and you lean on community for support. I think that, in our society, we can feel so alone and isolated, especially when we're going through a hard time. So I love that you've reached out and you not only have a coach, you have a team. And I think that, we all use a team. And that's something I've had to learn the hard way on my own journey.
Mhm.
Space holders, practitioners, we also need to be held. Um, and I also know that you're super family oriented and you do a lot of like intergenerational healing too, which I think really does help us on our own healing journey because we're connected to our parents, we're connected to our siblings,
Yes.
and everything that we're holding, they were holding in some capacity or still are. And
Mhm.
maybe they're not aware of it, but we have a lot of tools that maybe they didn't have. So I will say that, for anyone who's listening, I would also recommend like putting your team together and seeing like what it is that you need or yeah, and what ways could you be held during those times that you really need help. Um, so that's one thing I wanted to say. The other is I love that you said it helped you kind of release some doubt and really trust yourself more, trust in your gifts because I think everyone has spiritual gifts. And when I say spiritual gifts, I feel like maybe some people can't conceptualize, is that always going to be, psychic gifts, or is that always going to be mediumship? But I would say it ranges on every person. And that's why I taught like an intro to mediumship class, which is actually still available. Because I wanted to show like anyone who attended that class could actually connect to their ancestors and spirit guides.
Mhm.
So it was cool to see just different people connect with like a grandma who's passed away or like a great grandfather and even like nature spirits and things like that. And actually you watched the replay, so could you share a little bit of how that was for you?
Yeah, it was amazing. Um, like, I actually had asked Iris, like, should I also like kind of go to that or learn more? Because like we talk about a lot of this stuff in our coaching already too, but being able to really take in the information that she was sharing and practicing the meditation was also like a pivotal point for me because it did allow me to see like, oh, I could tap into this. I don't necessarily always have to wait for somebody to like help me do it, or like I can do. And Iris was the guide and she was able to like give us this information and wisdom, and it started to become a part of my practice. Like now I kind of am able to do that meditation and connect with my spirit guides like when I feel called to do it, and it just feels really empowering. I think that's the word I want to use. It feels really empowering to know that, yeah, like we could all tap into this, and all we needed was really like the guide and support, the community to learn and understand this part, because I think there's also a lot of unlearning we have to do with um knowing that we all do have like spiritual gifts and can access this. So yeah, it's definitely something that I've integrated into my own practice now. And it's really helped me deepen my relationship with my ancestors, my spirit team. So yeah, I definitely like learned so much from that.
Yes, I'm so glad to hear that. And my intention for creating that class was I know not everybody, I guess, can always have like the access to full-on one-on-one support with me. And so I've been feeling like a lot of nudges, especially when I was in the Philippines earlier this year. Like my
Mhm.
ancestors really want me to make this content, this information, which is our birthright, honestly, like colonization is what detached us from that connection. And so we walk around feeling like we're alone and, we have no support, but that couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really happy that I was able to share that. And I tried to make it like financially accessible too, um,
Mm,
because I want people to be able to connect with their ancestors, even if they don't work with me, like even if that's all that they receive or future workshops, they can still walk away feeling like exactly what you said, like, oh, I can do this. And I feel
mm,
empowered that I know how to protect myself when I'm tapping in. I know how to discern like if it is an ancestor or if it's another spirit trying to like mess with me. Um, so yeah, that was like the intention, and I'm glad that that's how you felt like attending it. Um, yeah.
yeah, yeah. It was, and something I'll also say too, like that I feel that I've appreciated through coaching, because you just mentioned it, is like just like having this like the decolonial lens, and just like that's always integrated like within the work that we're doing too. And just like I think that is really powerful in your coaching too, because it really allows us to just tap in a lot deeper with our ancestors too, and like see this and to see like spirituality and our spiritual gifts in a different lens than what we might see like within the new age or just like media, you know. And so I will definitely say that's also a huge part of like the coaching as well. So
Yeah. I'm glad you shared that because that is like a pillar, a key pillar of my coaching, because that's how I see the world, and it
mm,
really, I think, helped me to access more of my gifts, just having my own decolonization journey,
mm,
because certain teachers that I had along the way did not provide that context, and
mm,
so it kind of felt like this gatekeepy energy of like only a few handful of people who really decide to pursue mediumship are mediums, but it feels like from again a decolonial lens, we all have access to it because we're all spirits. And so, and in the lens of animism, which is, how so many indigenous cultures around the world, that's how they view reality is like rocks have a consciousness. Every plant, every herb, every flower, tree, mountain, like everything has a consciousness and has the ability to interact with us. And so
mm-hmm,
I share about gifts and mediumship and psychic ability. I really try to put all of that together in this like greater lens of you're not just connecting to loved ones who've passed away. You're not just connecting to your angels. It gives you access to connect with anything, honestly, which is why the protections are important. But that's what I really want people to know, and whether they're coaching with me or they're taking one of my workshops, which also, if you are coaching with me, you receive access to any workshops that I have as a part of the coaching. Um, so that's a really nice thing. But yeah, I want people to be able to walk away and feel like I just removed like a filter in their eyes of like how reality is. And you can go to a park and literally like connect with a tree if you want. You can go hiking on a mountain and connect with that mountain if you really want to. Like that is the goal for me because that's how we're gonna heal the earth. Like because we are the earth, we're not separate from the earth. And the more we can connect with everything around us, the more we can hear like, for example, trees, they store a lot of memories and they're way older than us, so they can actually show you the past and like show you what things were before like industrialization and everything. So
mm-hmm.
those are the types of things that you can understand when you put the decolonial lens to mediumship and like gifts.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And I think that's why like mentioning all those beliefs too, I think the coaching with you has been really important because also, we mentioned like tapping into like, how I've been tapping into community and my spirit team. It's like really important to know that you have people that like believe in the same things that you do and that kind of validate you. Because I think what comes also with my confidence is and trusting myself more too is that like I feel like these were the things I was feeling, or maybe like, yeah, these were the things that I kind of felt. And at the same time, I was kind of like, I don't really know, like, if anyone else feels this way, or I don't know if, um, kind of to what you're saying, just having someone that can like hold space for you and also like understand the things that you're feeling and experiencing, because I think for a long time for me I was just like, dang, like I don't know like if this means anything. Like I don't know, like I mean, I just remember one conversation too where I was like, oh, I feel like I'm seeing orbs or something. And like you really validating me in that because I was like, oh, okay, like I thought that I was tripping or maybe I'm having health issues right now, but it only happens in certain, you know, areas or times. And so I think it is really important to find someone that also um yeah, again embodies it, but also like really believes and like can validate you in the beliefs and experiences that you're having. And I think that has really contributed to like my self-trust and like confidence too.
Yes. And to piggyback off of that, I feel like, I think when we also talk about spirituality and our gifts, it can, there's a lot of like the mentality of it's separate from like your regular day-to-day life.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, if you're at a 9 to 5, like there's no way for you to access your gifts and whatnot. But
Hmm.
you have really been proving that wrong, that it's all connected.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's something that you've always reminded me through coaching too, because I was like, oh, I just saw a white butterfly. I I'd be at work and I'd mention to you like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I'm seeing this, I'm feeling this. I'm also being like open to like this type of experience, opportunity. But I think, yeah, our society really separates like our work being separate from ourselves. But that's really not the case, like all the time. And like, I feel like what I was experiencing in my spirituality was also like kind of manifesting and being embodied like in my full-time job too, and so I think seeing it as like in a holistic view or like kind of in this wholeness also really made life feel more meaningful. It made life feel like, okay, so I don't have to separate myself in this. Like I can still bring in my spirituality and like just be who I am in that. Wherever I'm at. It doesn't matter like if I'm setting intentional time to practice my spirituality or like I'm just at work. It's all just interconnected.
Yeah. Can I ask you, like, what's an example of that, of, it starting to trickle into your work world?
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, so um one so once I started coaching and becoming more confident in my gifts too, I guess there's two examples that come to mind, so I'll
Mhm.
just mention both briefly. um the first one was the land that my work was on, there was a lot of construction going on, and like I was seeing and feeling like a lot of things, and it was honestly kind of like disturbing my work. Like I felt really heavy. I felt like, oh my gosh, like I couldn't focus in some meetings. There would be a lot of like challenges that occurred like within the meetings, and I just had this feeling like, oh my gosh, like there's like grief and a lot of anger like coming from this land because of the construction happening. And so I told Iris, I was like, I don't really know what to do with this, but it just feels really heavy. Like it felt like it was interfering with a lot. And so I took some time to be with the land and like really sit like kind of in ceremony with it too. And um I think afterwards, after doing that, it was kind of easier to discern like, okay, this thing that I'm feeling is not mine. Like this is just what's happening, and like really being present and aware, and also understanding that like we can bring ritual and like ceremony into our work. Um, and I was very like conscious about like when I was doing it and who was around. Not because necessarily like I'm scared like people will think I'm weird, but it's more like also like to protect like kind of what I was doing too. But that's one example. Like that was a huge one, I think. And then another one was just like when I became more confident of like sharing my gifts, I was able to like let people know like, hey, like this is what I want to share. Can we do like kind of like a healing like yoga sound bowls? And so I was able to kind of lead a soul group at work during our retreat, and I never would like past me would have never done that. I've already had 4 years of these retreats, and like I never was confident enough to say like, hey, I want to share this and I think this would be really powerful. And I finally was able to do that because I just felt like, yeah, like I can do this. This is literally what I can offer community, and like, yeah, seeing my work as people as a part of my community, like really seeing them also as like beings that I can like hold space for. And yeah, yeah, really just seeing everything as like interconnected.
Uh, Everything that you shared, I really love because it does take away that, again, it's kind of like a colonial concept of separation.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, these are my work people, but also seeing like they're just people at the end of the day.
Yeah.
They also need sound healing and they also need yoga and they also could benefit from you just being authentically you.
Mm.
And I remember you had talked about some feedback you've received from some of your coworkers, and they're really seeing your light, and you're like, me, you know? So
Yeah.
it's almost like you get this feedback just from being you that people are seeing you for who you are and they're really learning from you. Would you say you would have understood those comments before, or do you feel like you'd really receive those now?
Yeah. So I feel I to what Iris was saying, I do feel like I have a really strong community. I'm very family oriented. I've always had people around me that have always celebrated me, lifted me up, like have affirmed me, in a lot of ways. But I would definitely say before coaching, like I I never like I don't know the best way to describe this, but it almost felt like, when you hear affirmations and you're like, let's say example, you're listening to affirmation music or you're just like listening to affirmation meditation, you're listening to it, right? But it's not like you're really integrating it or embodying it or really believing it. You're kind of just hearing it, right? And it's really important to know that you have that support and that those things can be possible, but it's also another thing to like actually fully believe it and like see yourself like, oh yeah, like I am powerful, I am really beautiful, I am like I do have these gifts. I think now I do really see it. I feel like, wow, like it's almost witnessing it was almost like I was really starting to witness myself as like a third person. Like I'm like, wow, like you really did that. Like you really could do that. Like I never fully believed it. And this is actually a conversation I had with my loved ones too, where I was like, I'm so thankful you've always lifted me up And I never truly believed it, but I believe it now. And I can see why you saw those things in me. Um, so yeah, I would definitely say now I'm like, yeah, I can say I am that because I truly believe it. And affirmation music to me now feels more believable too, because I'm like, oh yeah, like I feel like I can access this. But it really took like witnessing myself and witnessing my process and like also having someone that was able to witness me and really like outline and name my process too. I think that's also something that coaching has done for me because it's also different when you have your loved ones witnessing you and praising you and giving you affirmation or like being there for you when you are crying or like going through a hard time. But it's also another layer when someone can really like name your process and name like this is where you were and this is where you're going, this is where you're at right now, you know? And I think that makes also such a huge difference because it's another way of like witnessing. So, yeah, long story short, I do feel like now I can definitely believe it more than I did.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You can tell too, I think, in your embodiment. I think how you're showing up, not just online, but in your community, how you're even offering your talents at work. I feel you can feel that embodiment shift in you. So it's so cool to be on this side and hold the space for you to go through your process and yeah, just kind of be this guide and ask you questions that sometimes they're just genuinely out of my curiosity. And it's cool to see that they have an effect and that they really do help you to see and bring awareness to what's happening. Because I think it's true when you're the one going through it, you're just going through it and you're feeling all those feelings. It can be kind of intense. And then you have someone who can articulate like oh, like I've been through that, and also this is what I see about it, and this is how I feel like we can even alchemize the situation and work through that anxiety, work through the fear. It's not about suppressing it and pushing it away, but being present with what's alive in our bodies because we're alive, and
Yeah.
so many people have just numbed their emotions, and I think it requires so much bravery to address what's coming up rather than like continuing to just push forward. And I think that's
Mhm.
why you've been through a big transformation so far because you're actually feeling your feelings and you're like listening to what your spirit is saying through your body and through your emotions. And it's kind of like this like GPS, like it's like it'll show you what is in alignment because you can work through everything as it's coming towards you.
Yeah, yeah. And I think something that I really wanted to bring up that was in relation to everything that you're saying is that I think a huge part of why I've also been able to get where I am, like through your coaching is like the very deep shadow work and like realness of like having to face all of my emotions, um, like positive or negative or, and just seeing the duality in those emotions, like the sitting with each emotion, the parts work that we've been able to do together, and like um, I think this relates back to what you were naming with animism, is that everything has a spirit. And we do talk about like earth, we talk about like just different things, but there's also our own emotions and our own body that carry its like spirit in a way, right? So it's like being able to sit with each part of myself, whether it was my fear, my doubt, my gatekeeping, my body, right? Like us being like you being able to like guide me and hold that space, and us being able to like just process each part of me, and even like my teenage self, like my younger self, like so many parts of me that we've been able to work with through this coaching has literally been, I think, also one of the most transformational parts of this is like, yeah, I was able to really sit in the depths of those like of those like parts of myself. And I think being able to do that has really helped me embrace who I am, because now I can hold each one in in light, you know, like they don't have to keep hiding, even if it doesn't feel good. Um, and you know, I mean, you tell me questions like, "What do you like about this?" I'm like, "I don't know, and I don't know if I really like anything about it, you know." But being able to really face those things really helped me to understand myself. And again, leading back to the confidence and trust, that was a huge part of my process with you that helped me get there. um yeah, so I definitely wanted to name that piece because that's been probably also just one of my like the most helpful parts of like this whole coaching process too.
I love that. Shout out to my own therapist because I feel like we're such an accumulation of like all of the people who hold space for us, all the things
Mhm.
that we're learning and our own experiences that yeah, it's really cool to be able to pass that on and show like it's actually these parts of ourselves aren't bad. They're here to help us, or maybe they're parts of us that were in a lot of pain, and that's why they're kind of stuck in anger, they're stuck in shame because they're holding on to that pain that they've experienced and no one gave them that closure. So
Mhm.
it's sort of trippy to access like, oh, my inner teen is the one who's actually triggered right now. It's like,
Yeah.
what does she need? You know, it's asking those questions instead of like I guess just being overcome and flooded with the emotion itself, which, has its own place. But I
Yeah.
think being able to access younger versions of ourselves and also future versions, I think it's really powerful because it
Mhm.
shows you you're not just this you who's in this one current time and place, but you're all of it. Your future you, you're also your past you. Like our intuition literally is because we're connected to our future self. And they guide us. It's like, this is what the next thing is, and then maybe this is because sometimes opportunities come our way that are more of a test, or
Mhm.
maybe they're just trying to see like what you would do if it's gonna come from lack or from love. And
Yes.
yeah, so it's like our future self is actually helping us to get to where we need to be because they're already there. And I think that even removing that or working through your like limiting beliefs, your doubts, your fears, and imposter syndrome, it kind of just like unlocks the ability to clearly hear that version of you that's like trying to get your attention or your spirit guides, whoever it is that's trying to get your attention and help you like navigate the next thing. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it helps a lot.
Yeah, yeah. And I think like being able to sit with each part too, like and like you said, it's like it's the intuitive like parts of ourselves that like that are just so hidden deep within sometimes. And so like I think being able to access those feelings for me and all these versions of me also helped me not be as logical and like analytical in a way, because I was really just learning how to feel it. Um, and now like I actually noticed this shift more recently, like when I kind of posted my offering, like you know how maybe some like you know how there's this thing where we say like, oh, imagine like your ancestors are like behind you walking with you along your path when you're doing something, with every step. And I think um recently it was like I kind of saw all the versions of myself like with me, like
Mm.
I, that's the best way I can describe it. But it was kind of like I saw all like these different ages with me as I like after I posted my offering, and I was like, wow, like I'm so proud of us, you know? And like that's such a huge shift for me, you know, but I just wanted to name that because I think that's so powerful that yeah, like we aren't separate from like all these versions of ourselves, past, future, present, you know, um, and that we just have to kind of shine a light on all of them. So yeah, I just wanted to name that because that was a huge like shift for me. I'm like, wow, like it kind of felt like a group hug, like wow, we're all in this together, you know?
So cute. And I'm sure they were so happy too to be in that group hug and acknowledge. 'Cause they're
Yeah.
not just this far away like memory, but they're alive and they're like also celebrating every milestone that you have.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like I was in awe, you know, like I was just like, wow, I can't believe I've just like gotten to this place now where I can just look at everything and not feel so ashamed.
Hmm.
Mm.
And we still have 3 more months,
Yeah,
so
I
what
know.
happens? Yeah.
Literally.
Okay, so thank you for all you've shared so far. I do have a few more questions. The next question is, how would you describe me as a coach?
Yeah. Man, there's so many things to say. I feel like I've mentioned a lot of things, but I think, I mean, yes, first and foremost, just like Iris is intuitive AF. I was like, I don't know if I should say any curse words, but um, yeah, she's intuitive as fuck. But I say that because um, you know, I think something intimidating about coaching or can be because again like this was like Irish is my first coach ever, like you know this is like my first time ever like experiencing, well it's funny because like at my work I work with coaches but I've never been coached myself, you know, in this way. So um I didn't really know what to expect. And like each week I'd be like, oh man, like I don't really know maybe what to bring, you know? And so each week has just always surprised me because like whatever comes up just like needs to come up. And Iris is just able to kind of like work with me through it. And that's why I say she's intuitive because um she I mean she doesn't know what I'm gonna bring either, you know? And each time it's just always something different. And it's because like again, she's intuitive, she brings up like whatever helps me work through whatever I bring up. So whether that's meditation, whether it's through like powerful questions, whether it's like doing the parts work, um, it's just always intuitive and I'm always just like damn like yeah that's exactly what I needed like you know like but you just make it up on the fly too. But and so I think that's just something that's really powerful. And like even with the homework, like I knew there was going to be homework because that's something that you kind of mentioned before we started like kind of like coaching. And you know when you think about homework, like you think okay maybe I have to fill out like worksheets, maybe there's like a slide deck, maybe there's I don't know, like you know you just think of like traditional homework in a way. um and again the homework is so intuitive to like what we talk about that week, what would help serve me for the week following. um and all of that has been really helpful for me too, in just being accountable to myself and strengthening my own intuition, you know. And then I would also say that Iris is like just really supportive. Like she really helps you process where you're at and like helps you slow down. And I would say, yeah, that's a big part too, just slowing down. Like, I don't know what word would go with that, but you really just help me like slow down and process things. And I think not just, and like I said, like not in that logical, analytical way, but like really tapping in and feeling into your body. And also supportive in the sense that like the WhatsApp has been really big for me too. I think like being able to like just send an audio message, like leave a brain dump of like the things that I've been experiencing and feeling related to coaching. Like having that support through WhatsApp too has been really empowering because it's like, okay, like yeah, I have someone that's on my team that's really like supporting me through these like not in like a therapeutic like therapy way of like supporting me through everything that I'm going through, but like all the things related to this container and also just deeply reflective. You've just mirrored so many things to me that have helped me in my process. Um, and also I appreciate the vulnerability too of you like kind of sharing like your experiences with me in this process of reflection. I think that's just something that really helps me process and really integrate things. um, and I guess the other thing is just like power, like powerful, like I just feel like you're really powerful at what you do and who you are, and um your power helps me feel empowered and inspired and helps me embody the things I want to, because yeah, you just stand really like unapologetically in your light. um and being able to witness that and be in that um also helps me see the possibilities. It's helped me see the possibilities. And so, yeah, I would definitely say powerful is a word I want to leave.
Ah, thank you. Thank you for all of that. That really helps me to even see those things in myself too, because we could be more critical on ourselves.
Yes.
But when someone is sharing that who has experience, what it is that you're offering, what it is you're sharing, it also helps me to see like, yes, like I feel that, and I need to recognize that too. Um, and for the part of like, me sharing my own experiences, what I like to say in coaching sessions is like, I won't talk about myself and my experiences unless
Yeah.
it feels relevant. So when I do share, I feel like it's because there was a parallel from my story that by me sharing, it can show you like you're not alone when you face that. And if I can work through it, you can through it too. And it's also never done because some of my examples are recent. It's like it's that day, and I'll bring it up because it's relevant to something that person's experiencing. And I also feel like that is what attracts people as like coach and person being coached and things like that because you're gonna be drawn to people who have lived similar things to you or have some sort of parallels in your story and their story. So it doesn't surprise me that we've had so many, and I feel like it's so many parallels. It's really cool to see, actually. I can see myself in certain things that you've shared, and likewise. Um, and actually, I wanted to ask you about the topic of surrender because I feel like this coaching container, I think because it's so intuitive, you almost don't know what's gonna come. Like, yes,
Yeah.
it's about spiritual gifts and it's about transformation and being held, but you don't know what's coming each session. I don't know what's coming each session. So it requires us to be heavily present in your process. And then for me, it's like kind of seeing like what is the main root in whatever you're bringing to me that day. Like, is there a theme from something I've seen in a session like 5 sessions ago, like bringing all these things together. So, how would you say like surrender is relevant in coaching?
Wow. Okay. That's a really great question. Um, wow. Well, I think when it comes to surrender, I think a huge part of it is like also being uncomfortable in the stillness. Um, and what's happening like in the present moment. You mentioned presence, and I think, yeah, when you're in coaching, you really do have to just like sit with whatever's coming up for you and with you, like whether it was in that week or in that moment, and knowing that you can only control so much. Like you can, just as an example, I think for me, like throughout this coaching, I had to surrender to like the outcomes of things and just really be present and be in the stillness. Like, even just like, for example, like being outside here and laying under the tree, it's like, okay, I don't really, how do I say this? Sorry, I feel like I'm not describing this too well, but um,
Oh, thank you.
it's like the longer I sit here, the more I understand like what the truth is. Like, this is where I'm at, and this is what I need to do so that I can stay present and in my purpose. And I think something that I remember reading in my notes that we had in one of our sessions, in one of our coaching sessions, was like, our purpose is in our presence.
Mm,
And I think that's something that's really powerful that I will continue to take from me from this coaching, because when we're present, it's like, okay, comes someone from that comes from like dealing with anxiety and fear. You know how they say like um depression comes from the past, and like anxiety and fear comes from thinking about the future. And like, I know that's just a quote that people say, but I really feel like that resonates with me. And so like what I had to do in coaching with just being present has really actually shown me like, this is just being here, and what I'm experiencing is like what I'm meant to do. Like, I don't need to carry the past with me. I don't need to worry about what the future is going to hold for me, because like this is where I am right now in this moment. And so I think coaching just has helped me see that a lot deeper. Like, we've worked through all those things that have kept me stuck,
mhm,
and that allowed me to be more present in where I am,
mhm,
sitting under this tree. I just in the months in coaching, I've sat in this tree more than under this tree than I ever have like in my whole life. And this is my childhood home, you know? And so like I was able to find my purpose through just that, just like being present. And I've taken a lot of my coaching sessions under this tree. I think that's why I was really referring to this tree, because I'm like, it wants to be a part of this, because it's literally been with me through this coaching. And through this time, I have been able to find like, okay, like this is where I need to be. And um, I don't need to think much more like logically about it. Like, this is just where I am. And whatever I need to process, like I'll do it right now in this present moment coaching. If there's inspiration or messages or downloads that come up for me, okay, then that's what I'm gonna like take action on or work through. And like I said, I've been under this tree in a lot of coaching sessions, and we've worked through a lot of those things where I've been stuck with where I want to be in the future. But what really mattered was what was ever like coming up in that moment in the coaching session. So yeah, I think a big message is just like letting go of control and just being present in it.
yeah, that's so good. And I know the tree wanted to be a part of this. I can feel it too. It has been grounding, every session and feeling all the things, the transformation that you're going through and listening, probably listening to our conversations too.
Literally everything. I was like, why am I making this analogy with the tree right now? I feel like I'm not making sense, but I really feel like it would like their spirit was trying to come through.
Yeah. Yeah. It is all about being present. It's because we can get so caught up in the future and the past, like you were saying. And I feel like our power comes from almost like accepting everything and
Mhm.
not trying to change it or forcing things to change, but just sitting with like, well, why can't I be where I am right now? Like, what's stopping me from just being? And you'll notice like there's resistance from our mind a lot of the time and what society expects of us. Like, kind of like how you said you had to let go of expectations during this container of what it should be or how the process will move because the way that it's moving is the way it's meant to. And it's just by being present that you will get to that destination. Isn't that so like counterintuitive? It's like when you let go, you actually will end up where you want to be.
Yeah, and that's the hard. That's like really like that's a really hard thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Kudos to you. You've been doing it. And I know that it wasn't easy at first, but I feel like you have been really learning it. And it is something that you will always have with you, even after coaching. You'll always have that tool of like, okay, maybe I just need to drop everything and sit under a tree right now. And you'll feel better. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's really funny. Yeah, definitely. I think it's just taught me that like in the midst of life, like things will always keep moving. There's always going to be something to do. There's always going to be something to think about. But if we can just like take this moment to be like, no, I'm gonna like actually like slow down right now and just like not do anything for like 5 minutes, then things just start to become more clear, you know?
Exactly. Yes. And our last question for today is what would you say to someone who's interested in coaching?
Um, it's funny. Like the first thought I had with this question was like, what are you waiting for? Like, what are you waiting for?
Yeah.
I think if you feel like an inkling or a calling, there's a reason for it. Um, it's just it's just up to the person to discern like maybe the timing of it or their capacity for it. But I will say that um for someone that's interested in coaching, especially with Iris, like if you really want to get more clear on your spiritual gifts and just trust yourself more and like move confidently and tap in more into your intuition, then like, you know, she's the person to like go to. Like, um, she'll really just help validate you and like help you see your strengths. And I think that's an amazing person to have. She's an amazing person to have on your team because she really, again, like just embodies like that intuitive sense and like and being confident in her gifts that it really empowers you to want to do the same. um and yeah, I think like the best investment you can always make is in yourself. And so like this is this is 100% worth the investment.
Yay. Oh, I love that. And also, if anyone is like interested, I do offer like a 15-minute free connection call. Um, like Trishna said, sometimes it is about things lining up. Maybe someone's interested, but maybe they're getting their finances together, or maybe they're moving, and there's just always something happening. But I feel like it's always worth the connection call at least to see, like, maybe this is something that could be useful on someone's process in the future. Because I know Trishna, after our first container, like she was interested in this, but again, it took like certain things playing out. I also went to the Philippines, and I think when I came back, I also shifted too. So it's like there was shifting on both ends for us to actually like truly begin. And when
Yeah.
we started, it was the right time. So I really believe in that like divine timing. If not now, then maybe later. That's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. A lot of things played out and
Yeah,
I think had to play out before before we locked in. So,
exactly.
yeah.
Well, thank you, Trishna, for just being here and for also just sharing like your wisdom and your process too. And I know you're doing that a lot on your socials, so please let everyone know where they can find you and what are you working on? What are you sharing right now?
Yeah, okay, thank you. I feel like I'm gonna do the reintroduction to myself because we were
Yeah.
still warming up at the beginning. But yeah, you can find me on Instagram at AteTK. The TK part is spelled a little differently. It's TEAKAYE. That's always something I did from high school. Um, it was just a play on the letters. And I want to identify myself as a storyteller. I love to write. I love poems. I love to share. That's kind of like my medium of writing, to share just my experiences and feelings and life, and a space holder, and an intergenerational bridge. And what I mean by that is really seeking healing and joy and sharing culture and cultural wisdom, through generations, through our elders with the younger generations. That's always been something that really resonates with me and is really the work that I've always done in everything that I do. And yeah, I'm going to be hosting my first community event in September. You can find more details on my page. We'll be doing a lot of practices that I've done to help heal. I'm still healing, but like to really help heal my chronic compression and my nervous system, mental health. So yeah, if it resonates with anyone, I'd be happy to see you there. You can just learn more about me on my page.
Yay. Yes, go give her a follow, check out her events. It's really, I'm so proud to even hear you like plug your event. I feel like that's so full circle and really cool to see you doing that at 3 months in. I'm like, you're doing it, you're really like accepting your power and you're putting it out there. So I'm so happy.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for always just being a safe space for me to do it. And yeah, it feels so surreal that I'm at a place where I can just kind of say these things. So
Mm, yeah, seriously. Okay, well, thank you everyone for tapping in, and I'll see you in a connection call if that feels aligned. If not, I always am open to questions. I think I have like a contact tab on my website, so if you're not ready for the connection call and you just want to ask a question, you can always hit me up there. It goes to my email, so I'll respond to you through email. Um, but yeah, I hope that this conversation helped to just illuminate a little bit more about what spiritual gifts integration coaching is, because like I said, it's kind of hard to describe. It's almost like you just have to like let go and just do it. Um, and then the magic is in the letting go. So I hope that everything Trishna shared can just clarify that for future clients. So, all right, take care, everybody, and we'll see you later.
you.